There is a battle raging in India over urban spaces between activists and the government. The demand for greater development in our cities is understandable, but it cannot come at the expense of the existing ecology and proper planning. The failure to strike a balance has meant that activists have gone knocking on the doors of the courts, and one such battle is playing out right in the heart of the national capital. In July 2016, the Union Cabinet approved a plan to redevelop 7 residential accommodation colonies in different parts of Delhi, engaging NBCC India Limited and the Central Public Works Department, both entities that function under the aegis of the central government. The reason cited was the shortage of government accommodation in the National Capital Region, leading to government officials waiting for eligible housing. An MOU was signed by the Ministry of Urban Development with the NBCC and the CPWD in October 2016, with the estimated cost of the project in total amounting to Rs 32,835 crores. But there has been resistance since the time the project was announced. It has been reported that an estimated 16,500 trees will have to be chopped in the process. With Delhi already earning the dubious distinction of being one of the world's most polluted cities, the city's existing green cover, activists claim, could not be jeopardized further.
We're standing here right now in Netaji Nagar. I call this ground zero, and this is what's going down in the heart of our city. I think the core issue is a pro-development agenda, which frankly is a good agenda, and I don't think anybody can argue with that, versus an environmental agenda, one that upholds our quality of life and our existence in a city that is already environmentally unviable. I think that's the core of the issue, and we're trying to see reason in felling these trees that are on average about 100 years old and in the heart of the city, and frankly our national treasure and our carbon sink, and the very reason that we can still survive and exist in this city. I think that's the core of this issue. We've got a temporary relief out of the courts. Thank heavens for our legal system. They see reason in the fact that there is no reason to move forward with this project, and there is a complete lack of not only planning, but the citizens and the residents of this city have been sold this project based on half-baked truths.
We have some kids from the Indian school who are also here to put out awareness against felling of trees. पेड़ हमारा जीवन है, पेड़ हमारा जीवन है, पेड़ हमारा जीवन है, पेड़ हमारा जीवन है.
See, the problem is enormous. We are one of the few most polluted cities in the world. Our AQI normally is always above 400 and between 400 to 500, right? Why? Because all around Delhi, if you see, the highways have been dug up, massive construction is going on within Delhi, JNU has cut the trees, IIT has cut the trees, so quite a few trees are on chopping block. The moment I heard that these 16,500 trees are being chopped, I was in for rude shock. For simple reason, when you go to this area, Naroji Nagar, Netaji Nagar, that there is a temperature difference of about 3 to 5 degrees because of these trees.
Earlier this month, the National Green Tribunal and the Delhi High Court ordered an interim stay on the felling of trees following petitions that were filed to protest the decision of the government. While this is a temporary relief, with the NBCC and the centre among others asked to file detailed responses, the central government has stated that Delhi's green cover will not be jeopardized.
You take buildings which are toxic, which produce something between 40% to even more, 40 to 45% of the carbon emissions, and you redevelop those, bring it down to neutrality, then you make buildings which are positive emitters of energy. Now the construction which is going to take place in the new redeveloped colonies will be green and smart buildings to start with. Number two, the green area is being increased threefold. The number of trees being planted are going to be 10 times. In other words, for every one tree which is not planted, there will be 10 times the number of trees.
On June 21st, the government, reacting to protests as well as media reports, issued a detailed clarification, claiming that the number of trees cut would be much fewer. Moreover, the quantum of green space in the redeveloped project would be increased threefold, and for every tree cut, the government claimed 10 additional trees would be planted as a compensatory measure. But this compensatory measure has been received with a lot of skepticism.
The NBCC stand in this whole issue is that while they are felling trees over here in Netaji Nagar, they are going to reapply the model of the new Moti Bagh, which means that they will create green spaces inside the redeveloped colony, which is exactly like what they did in New Moti Bagh, which is right behind me. Redeveloped colony, which is exactly like what they did in New Moti Bagh, which is right behind me. However, activists counter that claim, saying that they are only planning to existing foliage and the existing flora that is there in this particular area.
I'm a Kisan at heart, so I have some expertise on this subject. So essentially, let's talk about what our government is proposing. They are proposing cutting down 17,000 trees that are on average about 80 to 100 years old, 70 species that are supporting life and our ecosystem, the birds and the bees and the monkeys and all of it, and also a big catchment for rainwater and water harvesting. They're talking about replacing each one of those trees with 10 saplings. Now, anybody who knows anything about horticulture knows that these saplings have less than a 1% chance of survival. We have goats and dogs and cows and buffaloes that go and eat all these saplings. And frankly, even the saplings that they're planting are all ornamental, things to, for the beautification of these projects. So it's not something that can replace what they're taking away.
See, they are all dream merchants. Let me tell you one thing very frankly. We don't trust them. Every year, few lakh saplings are planted. If I go by the statistics shared by these government departments, or which are claimed that we planted 3 lakh trees, 4 lakh trees, there won't have been even single inch barren land in Delhi. Where do you find trees? Killing a 50-year-old tree, replacing with sapling, with whom you are joking? Whom you are trying to bully? I had been asking them that where did you plant trees which JNU was supposed to plant, or which Central Information Commission was supposed to plant, or DMRC was to plant. These are nowhere.
And the reasons to be skeptical are valid. This is not skepticism that is directed against the central government alone. Even the state government in Delhi has had a poor track record in the planting of compensatory trees, leaving many in doubt over the viability and credibility of such a proposition.
In the kind of state Delhi is in now, the crucial thing that anybody can understand is the most basic minimum agenda, that you do not cut a standing tree, never mind what you're going to do after that. Whatever you do after that must be done in addition to those standing trees. You do not lose, 60, 70 or 80 years old of wealth of trees, what ecologists call green infrastructure, which is already there for you, and then plant saplings, say 30 kilometers away, somewhere near Wazirabad, the Netaji Nagar compensatory plantation, which the NGT forces companies to do. The land for that is being given near Wazirabad. Now, does it make any sense to people who live near the pollution of Ring Road that even 10 times more saplings will be planted somewhere in Wazirabad? It doesn't make much sense.
I'm standing in Sarojini Nagar, and this park that you see right behind me might not exist in a few days because of NBCC's new redevelopment project in this particular area. One of the greenest areas in South Delhi is Sarojini Nagar, but 11,000 trees just from Sarojini Nagar are going to be raised to the ground by NBCC, which has been given now the environment clearance. Out of a total of 16,500 trees that will be raised to the ground, 11,000 are only from Sarojini Nagar. Activists are saying that the damage that will be caused because of the felling of these trees is something that cannot be compensated, even if they plant 10 saplings per tree that is cut in some other location. Just a few days ago, this was a lush green park, and this tree right next to me was standing upright. But along with this tree, 1,000 other trees were chopped off in this area where I'm standing. I'm at the latest site for NBCC's new redevelopment project in Netaji Nagar. And this area that used to actually be a children's park has now not even a single tree left, except for just a few that you can count on your fingertips. In total, 16,500 trees are going to be cut in several redevelopment projects in South Delhi, and this is just one of them, and also an example of what is to come in the coming months.
बट यहाँ पर दिक्कत क्या है कि यहाँ सारे पेड़ जो थे काफ़ी हरे भरे पेड़ थे, काफ़ी पुराने पेड़ थे, जो हमारे दादाओं के टाइम से इससे आ रहे हैं पेड़, सारे पेड़ ने काट दिए हैं। और ये पूरी हरियाली हुआ करती थी, बहुत बड़े बड़े पेड़ हुआ करते थे, काफ़ी सालों पुराने पेड़ थे यहाँ पर, ये सारे इन्होंने काट दिए हैं, जिसको हमने कई बार रोकने की कोशिश भी करी है, प्रोटेक्शन भी करा, लेकिन कोई सुनवाई नहीं है। हमने काफ़ी बात भी करी भी क्यों पेड़ काटे जा रहे हैं, ये ऑर्डर है हमारे पास पेड़ काटने का।
मैं यहाँ इस कॉलोनी में 44 years I have completed in Netaji Nagar. I am shifted from here last year by force. और मैं जाना नहीं चाह रहा था, बहुत अच्छी कॉलोनी थी, जहाँ हम गए हैं वो तो हमें पसंद भी नहीं आ रही। मैंने यहाँ पे बहुत पेड़ लगाए थे, बड़ का पेड़, बरगद का पेड़ लगाया था, नीम का पेड़ लगाया था, सरसों शीशम का पेड़ लगाया था, अशोक का पेड़ मैंने अपनी जेब से खर्च करके लगाया था, सारे काट दिए।
यहाँ हमने अपने हाथों से पेड़ लगाए और अब काट दिए, तो बहुत दुख हो रहा है हमें।
Environmental activists have started an online signature campaign and also a missed call campaign to stop the felling of trees. Their main demand being that at a time when Delhi is battling pollution and people are suffering, why are trees being cut? 2, why can green architects not be called in to surround these redevelopment projects around the trees instead of chopping them off altogether? And 3rd, why no public consultation is taking place before the decision to fell so many trees in South Delhi is taking place, because the felling of these trees will dramatically affect the pollution levels in this particular area.
This was the situation in late June this year, but there have been some developments since. On June 28th, amid an outcry over the plan, the central government convened a meeting to rework and redesign its redevelopment plan and also involve public consultations. And this entire episode has witnessed a blame game between the centre and the AAP-led state government. The activists tell us that neither can distance themselves from what has happened.
16,500 पेड़ों का जो मामला है, इस पे हमारा बड़ा स्पष्ट कहना है कि ये जो प्रोजेक्ट है, ये केंद्र सरकार का प्रोजेक्ट है। हमारा सीधा कहना है कि इस प्रोजेक्ट को सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को नहीं करना चाहिए। ना ये प्रोजेक्ट होगा, ना इस पेड़ को काटने की नौबत आएगी। जहां तक बार बार दिल्ली सरकार का नाम लिया जा रहा है, ये एक चतुराई से बार बार दिल्ली सरकार का नाम लिया जा रहा है, जिसके हर्षवर्धन जी जो हमारे सांसद हैं, वो इसके मंत्री हैं, उन्होंने इस प्रोजेक्ट का एनवायरमेंट क्लियरेंस दिया है। मतलब इस बड़े प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में क्या इसका पर्यावरण के ऊपर कोई इफेक्ट होगा, नहीं होगा, जब ये फाइल, देखिए अप्रूवल अथॉरिटी जो है वो एलजी है, ये फाइल जब मंत्री के पास आई है, मंत्री ने इसके ऊपर बड़े बड़े पैराग्राफ लिखे हैं कि इस तरीके के प्रोजेक्ट से पर्यावरण का नुकसान होगा, पेड़ों को काटने से पोल्यूशन और बढ़ेगा।
As far as the AAP government is concerned, I think they wanted to ally themselves with development and went along, and Imran Hussain, our environment minister for Delhi, signed off on this project and the tree felling early on. And the moment they saw that the citizens came out and were protesting and were up in arms, they saw it as a political opportunity to stand behind us, beside us, not even behind us, and on occasion even front of us, to kind of, vote bank politics, back to vote bank politics.
Anil Sood, an environmental activist in Delhi and a petitioner in the NGT on this matter, has also raised serious questions over the clearances that were granted during the course of approving this project.
NBCC and Ministry of Urban Development, they are on wrong side of law. And there are material concealments in their project report itself. If you look at the date of clearance given by tree officer and date of clearance given by MOEF, there is hardly 2-3 days time. With such a project having so much of financial stakes, how can you start this kind of project without application of mind? Even if they have to lose money, they must lose money. Even if these projects have to be scrapped, these must be scrapped.
Whether these claims merit a deeper probe is something that the courts will rule on, having been seized of the matter. But a robust movement in Delhi involving citizen groups has played a significant role in ensuring that the project, with what they feel has serious potential to damage what is already an environmentally vulnerable national capital, does not get a free pass.
These kids have tied Molly around these trees, and a lot of volunteers have come together, and we've actually done a complete tree census here as well, to do our own inventory, just because there's a lot of, we don't trust anyone.
Okay, so what would you like to say about this one little campaign that you've done here in Sarojini?
So honestly, we've done this because we realize the importance of trees, and we realize that it's affecting all of our lives if it's not there. It affects the flora and fauna, as I said before. It affects everything. It even affected my life. See, I have asthma, so in my previous school, I had to be rushed to the hospital quite a few times because the pollution got just so bad that I couldn't breathe.
With this issue in the courts, all the parties involved may now have to be a part of a long-drawn legal fight. But the activists are convinced that projects of this nature are a recipe for serious ecological damage.
We are desertizing Delhi. Delhi would not be a place to live in. Every citizen will have to move out. AIMS has come out with a story, study few months ago on Vasant Kunj citizens after development of this airport, that 70% of citizens above 50 are suffering from hypertension, and out of which 50% do not know that they are suffering from hypertension. Now, latest Lancet report also correlates air pollution with diabetes. Now, do you think we are trying to create a capital city having diabetic and hypertensive patients? What are we looking at? What are we doing to our country?
Rest assured, this battle to protect green urban spaces won't be the last in Delhi or elsewhere in India.